Hi, this is Corey. I've got my Django t-shirt on, and that means we're doing a live stream. So I'm big. It's the first time I have done a little intro. So I was thinking about it, and I realized that if I'm going to build this product, doing it sort of 45 minutes at a time on these live streams is going to take a really long time. So I thought maybe I would try something a little bit different today and do a longer session. What that probably means is it will be a little bit less tight. Not that, not that my coding sessions are particularly tight already, but I will probably be a little more meandering, take a little bit longer to figure stuff out. We'll see whether that makes for good content or not. I recommend skipping around, jumping ahead, putting this on 1.5 or double or triple speed if you want to kind of progress through. But I'm going to give it a shot and see where we end up. So today my plan is to essentially build out the core technology for this product. I'm hoping that maybe I'll be able to just bang it out in a single session. But basically what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to take a Django translation file, pass it to ChatGPT, get back the translations, stuff them in a database, and generate a new file with the translated text in it. So this is, if we're building sort of like a SaaS around a script, this is the script. So we'll see if we can bang this thing out in the time I have available right now. I am hoping it doesn't take too long, but let's see how it goes. All right, and now to the coding. So this is just like a tiny bit of prep work I did. I was playing around in the OpenAI Playground, and you can see here I have this prompt, your translate GPT, blah, blah, blah. And I was playing with it. It looks like it works reasonably well. And this is on GPT 3.5. I'm guessing it would work even better on GPT-4. But it can handle these templates. It doesn't seem to get distracted by sort of attempts to mislead it. And it's always being concise and just providing me with the translation. So I'm basically going to port this bot, if you can even really call it a bot. It's literally just a system prompt. But I'm going to port this into Python code, and then we will read our translation files. We'll pass them all through our Python functions. We will get back our translations, we'll save our translations, and then we will spit out a new file with the updated content. So let's get into it. When I'm doing a project like this where kind of the core business logic is going to be on the command line, the first thing I will usually do is I will write a management command for it. A management command in Django is something that basically is like a script, but it's a script that has your entire Django environment available to it. So you can write a Python script, but it can also access your Django settings, your data models, and so forth. So that's where I am going to start. I'm going to create a new Python package. And the way you create management commands in Django is to just put them in a folder called management.commands. And then in here, we will create the Python file with the name of our command. So in this case, we'll say like translate PO file. I don't know. So the scaffolding for this, we can just grab from one of our other management commands. And just kind of paste that in here, and we'll change our help text to translates PO files. I don't know. Not totally sure what this thing is going to do yet. It's more of a developer-facing command, so it might not sort of survive even past the development phase. But we'll just start with that for now. And we're going to pass it a file name. The file name will be a string. And then, let's see. So in this handle method, like you will see me do in other places, why don't we just say like, okay, called the right thing. So we'll just kind of print that out, make sure that we have our plumbing in place. Make this bigger. Work on translate. And what do we call that? Translate PO file foo.txt. Okay, so it didn't find it. That's because I spelled management wrong. Missing argument. Oh, right. Okay, and we could print out the file name as well if we want, just to make ourselves happy. Okay. So far so good. So now I'm imagining, like, if we're gonna kind of pseudocode this thing up, we're gonna start by sort of like translations equals like read file. So first we're gonna kind of like get all of our translations out from this file, and then let's see, translations back equals like translate. I don't know. That's not a great name. Translate messages. Maybe we'll call these messages. Translate messages. Messages. And then maybe we just, I don't know, maybe we just print these out for now. That seems fine. I mean, the core thing I want to build is we're going to need this sort of like read file logic to turn a PO file into translations. And then we're also going to need this translating function. We'll actually probably like want to save some stuff to the database, both on the input side and on the output side. But for now, I'm just going to kind of focus on this core business logic. And so maybe for starters, we will generate a little test file. And so I can kind of start with the, let's see, the project file translations. So just grab this one, and I will make a copy of it, maybe just in my project root directory for now. Let's call it test translations. Okay. And I don't know, let's see, so we want a few regular words. Yeah, we want something with some braces. Is there anything else we want to kind of play with? Maybe we want something with multiple lines. And anything else that looks interesting in here? I don't think so. Okay. Good enough for now. I'm not sure what we're going to do with this metadata, but let's not worry about that. So, kind of two steps here. First is going to be processing this file. Second is going to be doing the AI translation stuff. I did ask ChatGPT about how to do this translation thing, and it recommended a library called POLib. I did a tiny bit of research to convince myself that that's a good choice. So let's add POLib to our project first. So I'm going to do that in the requirements.in file, and I'll just kind of stick it at the bottom for now. And then I will compile that into a requirements.txt file. And then I'll install it. Okay. Now it says we can just do this. So let's just kind of paste that into our code here. So this is going to be kind of like our read file function, I guess. Whoops. Read PO file. So I'm not too bothered about modules and stuff yet. Just going to kind of try to get everything working and then move stuff around and clean it up once we have stuff up and running. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's basically it. Maybe we don't even need this function if it's just a function call, but we'll do that just for kicks. Should be all getting printed out here. And then we'll kind of create our translate messages function. Okay. So let's just call that and see if it actually works. And let's see, what do we name that? What do we name our translation file? Test. Yeah, okay. That looks like it worked pretty well. And now, I mean, so one thing I'm kind of wondering is like, do we want to bother importing these strings into our data models and then doing the translation sort of like out of the data models, or do we want to just kind of work with these in-memory translations and then do the data model stuff after? I think maybe let's do the AI stuff first. That'll be kind of more fun and we'll need it anyway. Looks like the data model stuff is going to be pretty easy anyway. The issues are going to be mostly around the edge cases of like what to do if it already exists and yada, yada, yada. So the AI stuff, I will actually probably put in its own module. What do we want to call it? Naming things is hard. LLM translator. Sure. And then we will maybe move that here. Import it. And now basically we just want to reproduce this OpenAI thing that we did here. And the easiest way to do that is to go to the OpenAI code that ships with Pegasus already in the views. And let's see. Where? Oh, it's in the chat app. Where is get chat GPT response? There we go. So first, we will need a OpenAI client. Then we want to do one of these jobbies. Import that. Import that. And let's see. So basically, I think we want to do something like this. Just gonna kind of like put our system prompt into here. I don't know. Make it a little more readable. And so we want to do these one at a time. It's kind of annoying because ideally we don't really want to do a whole call to OpenAI every time we do this, but I'm worried about sort of parsing the responses if we try to pass them all at once. Okay, as we do, why don't we do one API call per translation for now, and we will improve on that later. So then we're going to have, so for message and messages, let's see, AI messages equals, and we're going to have sort of like, we're going to have a role, and this is going to be system. So this is our system prompt, and the content is going to be the system prompt. And then we're going to have a user prompt, and the contents, it's going to be the message, what? It's the message ID. I think we actually want the message string if it exists, and the message ID if it doesn't. Something like that, except my head is in JavaScript world instead of Python world. Okay, and then we get the response, and we get the response there. And now we can say like, yeah, I don't know, translated messages equals that. Translated messages dot append, and maybe we'll just like stick the original message alongside the translated message, which is like translation. Something like that. Thing isn't being used because it's to be used there. Okay. Well, let's see if it works. It's not going to work because we haven't set our OpenAI key. So I'm going to get big for a second so that you can watch me do that. So I am just sticking my OpenAI key into my .env file. And I just need to find that OpenAI key. And there it is. Paste. Close that. Okay, let's go back to coding. Call this again. Okay, it's slow. Slow is good. Slow implies OpenAI requests. Yeah, humano, IA. Sistema, tu compra de product name fue exitosa. Yeah, cool. So that was pretty easy. So yeah, what are we gonna do for the rest of the time? So I guess now let's do it the right way, and let's see. Maybe we'll kind of work with data models, shove the stuff in the data models, and then do the translations in the data models, and then ideally we could even sort of like generate a file out of this stuff. So now we're going to do this more official. And what does that mean? That means we need a team, because we need to know where we are working. We still need a file name, and maybe that's all we need. So yeah, okay. So we're gonna get back these messages, and then these messages we are going to call something like sync messages to database, I don't know. and we're going to give it the team and the messages. Actually, so in the management commands, we are going to pass a team ID, or team slug maybe, and then we're going to say team equals team.objects.getSlug. Import that. Sync messages to database. I don't know. Is that like a services type of thing? So there's services, Django, GitHub architecture. See if that brings up what I want. No, what is this thing called? Django architecture, guide, GitHub, services. There's like some, yeah, Hacksoft, this is the one. They have like a nice Django style guide for how to structure larger projects. I discovered it sort of after I had already laid the groundwork for most of Pegasus, so Pegasus doesn't strictly stick to this, although I often sort of try to be inspired by it. So they talk about services, which are where your business logic lives, and basically this is like what sits between your views and your database. So I think let's put this in a services function. So there's probably one or two services modules in Pegasus, but I use them a fair amount in my projects as well. And so this service is going to have a sync messages to database function, which takes team and a messages, which will be a list of what are these things? The printout printed out some, yeah, PO entry, I guess. List of PO entry, is that right? Nope. Capital O. Come on. Be smarter IDE. Come on. From import. There we go. And I guess maybe because like this function declaration is not fully defined. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we got the team, we got the messages, and do we want to do this the efficient way or the slow way? Let's see. So basically, we want to create these input text models. In theory, I think we could probably bulk create them. I think we want a language too. It's like an optional language, something like that. Nope. Okay. And let's see, so we'll say language equals language or language dot objects dot, let's make it English. Code equals en. Okay, and then we'll do it the slow way for now. For message in message input message dot objects dot. So do we want to use like a create or update type of a thing, or I'm just trying to think if we want to update these in place or we want to like leave what's already there. So the IDs will be the same, so it's really just about this default text thing, which I don't even really know whether we need that. So why don't we just do create, is it create or update? Update. Oh, come on. Is that not right? Put text. it's like update or creates, and defaults equals, and then we're going to have language and team and message ID, which is message ID. And then, oh, I think I got this backwards. I think we want, I think we want to actually do it like this. Language team is team, message ID equals message ID, and then defaults. How does this work? Look up and argue at the given quargs, updating one with defaults if it exists. Otherwise, create a new one. Yeah, okay. So defaults, and then we want default text is what? Message dot msgc text? No, that doesn't look right. MSG stir. MSG stir plural. We're not going to do pluralizations yet. Okay. That seems like that should work. So this is going to sync our messages to the database. I guess this will also take a language. For now, we can just kind of hard code that. And let's see. Get Spanish. Language. Translate messages. Where did that LLM translator go? This needs a language. Oh, right. Yeah, so actually, like before we do this, we want from lang and to lang. Something like that. And from lang to lang. Okay. And then, let's see, formatted prompt equals system prompt template format, and then we'll just say from lang equals English for now, to lang equals language dot name, and then we'll use the formatted prompts. Okay. So that, in theory, should allow us to do this sort of for Spanish and for French. Should we try it? Spanish, French, Okay. Now, let's see. So we're syncing our input messages to the database. We are not syncing our output messages, so we probably want to do that here, which is like sync translated messages to database team translation back. And now that I think about it, so really we want this to be our data model. So I am going to, let's see. Maybe we'll just yield this. Something like that. Input messages. We'll just make a list. And then we'll translate our input messages. And so this is actually going to be a list of input text. Is that right? Yeah, language is a language. Type hits can be arduous, but the autocomplete syntax in the IDE is definitely worth the price of admission. Okay, so we are getting our input messages back. This translate call, so these are now input texts. So yeah, so now it's warning SC that we don't have these things. And instead we have message IDs, message ID, and this was, so we wanted the default text or the message ID. I'm not certain about this interplay between the default text and the message ID, but I think it's right. Like I think in this file, like if for whatever reason you wanted to say like artificial, and it's actually a good test case, artificial intelligence, like I think you would want to translate this one and display that. And you could still reference it as AI in your code. So that's why we're defaulting to the default text, because it's usually empty. But if it's there, I think we want to use it. I don't think we need to modify anything else in this function. We're doing a lot of coding without seeing like a satisfying things are working. Translated messages to database. Yeah, okay. So this is now another service call that we need. So we'll get that function signature and then stick it in our services. And this is, so the result of this function is going to be like a bunch of tuples with our input messages and then the translation text. If we want it to be fancy, we could pull them out into a data class, I suppose. Why not? Just be a little bit more explicit. So class text with translation, and then we're going to make this a data class. And we are going to have input text and translation. And now we're going to have text with translation. And this will return a list of text with translations. Very good. So yeah, so now we have a team. And we have, what do we call those? Text with translations. Text with translations, which will be a list of text with translation, which needs to be imported. And yeah, so now, let's see, probably going to do kind of a similar type of thing where we update or create a, that's not the right models file, update or create one of these translation file models. Update or create. Import that. And so we want team as team. Language. I guess we need a language also. Should the language be part of the text with translation object? Probably. I don't see why not. It's kind of then in theory we could pass, where do we go? In theory we could like sync a bunch of translations from different languages, and that would also be fine. So this will be text with translation.language. And let's see, translated text, which is text with translation.translation. Okay. I won't bother returning anything here yet. No, we don't. Sync translated messages to database. Why isn't it picking that up? Sync translated messages to database. I want to import that. I see. It's because it's a little indented. There we go. And so French translation's back. Okay. I'm going to print them too. It will be remarkable if we one-shot this. We do need to change the type of that. You never know. Okay, so we don't need that anymore. So let's just kind of look at what we're doing. So first of all, our team is CZoo. And if we go into the CZoo translations, where are the translations? Am I running the wrong project? How embarrassing. Okay. I forget which. Yeah. Hey, look at that. Okay, where were we? Admin. Right, so input texts, we have none. Translations, we have none. Languages, we did add a few. In fact, this thing is in French, is kind of throwing me off. Let me change my language setting back to English. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we got the language, but we have no input text, no translations. If we somehow miraculously managed to do this correctly, then I would expect us to get some, not even close. It's actually my faults. Didn't properly tell it that we needed a team. Oh, it's because we used the CZoo team from the wrong project. So what team is this? Corey is the name of the team. Cannot resolve keyword language into a field. I guess we want primary language. That would be here. Let's put the team first. Okay. We are reading them in. Okay. Made some progress. So I think probably the input texts arrived. So that's good. You can see they got the primary language the team created at. We'll get to test our update workflow on the next time we run that. And I think the translations failed, and the translations failed because translation ID is not a thing. So let's, right, translated text. Translated text. Null value in column input text ID violates. True story. True story. Translations are pretty fast. Like the ChatGPT. I'm surprised that it can do that. Okay, so it looks like it kind of handled the Spanish, and then it looks like it handled the French. So now, that's not very satisfying. But I bet if we click into one of these, we will see humane. Let's improve this admin a little bit, shall we? So, admin. So for the translations, we probably want to show the translated text as kind of the main thing. That's better. We got the language there. I think we don't. Maybe we'll put the language in front of the input text. And then the input text needs to have a string function so that it shows up a little nicer instead of these like input text object 5. So maybe for this we'll return the self dot default text, or we'll kind of do the same trick. And since we're doing this trick so much, I'm wondering if actually like we kind of make it a property. Like, yeah, something like that. And then something like that. And then let's see, where else did we use that thing? In our LLM translator. So yeah, we can do get default text there. Okay, that is not wrapping very well. So shall we, what? I think there's like a way to do something like it's like truncated input text. Turn get text 20. Maybe something like this. Let's see if I pull that off without nope. Right. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to return the get. This AI is just like, sometimes it get default text. Oops. Input text. Yeah, that 20 is maybe a little too short. Maybe 60. Cool. This is pretty nice. That was easier than I expected. So we have our plumbing in place to process our PO files, save them to the database, translate them with AI, save that to the database, and I think last time we in our test had like, we should also be able to generate our translation files. So yeah, I mean, maybe just for the sake of completeness, now we should be able to, okay, so let's clean this up a little bit. I got Spanish and French at the top, or language in Spanish and French. We'll just kind of, this will eventually turn into more generic code, and we'll, like when we start making the views and the tasks and stuff like that, we will extract this logic somewhere. So I'm just kind of, no, we don't need this duplicated stuff. We'll be doing that in a loop. I could just say print processing language. And as a final step here, we want to, so we got our translated messages back. I mean, we can kind of just generate a PO file for everything in the database. So maybe we'll do that. So let's see, get PO file for the team in Spanish. Yeah, so PO file equals. So this get PO file function, we made that in the last stream. I don't know if you remember that. If you don't remember how we did this, we're still doing a million database calls, all over this project so far. Maybe we'll do an entire episode on performance and how to turn this million database calls into less than a million. But for now, we got our PO file, and this PO file is actually like the text. I think we just return like the text of the file. So we want to write that back out. I don't know. So let's see, translation file name equals translations, and then language.code.po. Then with open translation file name w as f dot write PO file text. Maybe? Let's see. So, and technically, we didn't need to do the AI. Oh, this is not idempotent. I don't know how to pronounce it, but something, it means something that can be run over and over again without problems. So somewhere in here, specifically in our sync translated message, right, this should be a default. Because if the translated text is different, we just want to update it in place. We don't want to create a new one. But yeah, what I was saying is we could comment out the AI. We could comment out the AI stuff, because technically we don't need to run the translations again since we've already generated them. It is useful to debug this idempotency stuff. Oh, come on. It's like staring me in the face, these issues. Okay. Fourth time's a charm. Cool, so I think that looks like it worked. And let's see, so did those files get created? What do we call them? Yeah. Very nice. Very cool. This is pretty neat. So I'm actually tempted to just kind of run this on my entire Pegasus code base right now and maybe see if we can translate the UI a bit more. So like, just as like sort of like a fun demo. Well, so first of all, let's kick this off because with the real translations file, it's actually going to take quite a bit of time. So what is it? Locale en lc messages django.po. Okay, so that's so that's a lot of stuff it's going to translate. That's okay. But so let's like look at this file for a sec. And so like, yeah, so like human AI, blah, blah, blah. So like if I go into like, for example, like this is a good page to maybe demo. So I'm going to change my language to French. I'm going to save that. I'm going to refresh. And nothing has changed because we don't have the translations for this. So yeah, this is unfortunately taking a little while to generate these translations. But what I'm hoping is this will eventually spit out a PO file, and after we spit out that PO file, we can hook it up to our Django project, and magically this page will get translated. So that would be a pretty cool little thing to run. I could actually like ship these translations in Pegasus. So this little project is actually already providing value, I think. Other thing I wanted to do, just I want to enable Spanish. I don't actually speak French. I speak passable Spanish. But so I'd rather not do these demos in French, but I'd rather do them in Espagnol. And yeah, it'll work better in Spanish too because Pegasus doesn't ship with any Spanish translations. So you'll see like all this stuff is not translated, but maybe once this AI finishes turning away on our translations, maybe we will see like a glorious translated UI, which would be pretty cool. Honestly, like, been talking a little bit on the side about optimizing database calls and stuff, but when you throw an LLM in the mix, it's obvious that it's sort of vastly longer than everything else is the AI calls. So, you know, saving all these translations to the database, even if we're doing it one row at a time, is still going to take, sub-seconds. Whereas each of these AI calls is going to take a long time. And it also is making me think like maybe figuring out how to optimize the AI to do more of like a bulk workflow might be a good idea. I just don't have in my head a clear picture of how to do that. Like I'm worried if I pass a bunch of text as separated by new lines or JSON or something like that, it's just like you get into like parsing issues and matching issues. So doing it like one line at a time is actually quite nice, even if it means the API calls get quite slow. So I don't think I want to open up that can of worms yet. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. Well, while we're waiting for this AI to turn away on our translations, I am going to go get myself a drink of water. I will probably speed this up in post so that you don't have to sit here and stare at my screen not moving. All right, I am back, and it looks like the Spanish translation's finished, which is quite cool. So hopefully, hopefully now this file here has a lot of cool stuff in it. And looks like potentially some unescaped strings. So we might have to do some post-processing on this. This is good. Edge cases, always fun. But it kind of worked. So like I am going to, let's see, I'm going to copy this file and I am going to, okay, so let's make a new directory for Spanish. This will be like a little like primer on, I don't know a ton about translations, but this will be a primer on sort of just how to practically work with them. And so you saw we added the Spanish language via the settings. Now I created this ES locale folder, and I believe that if I run make messages, what it will do is, oops, wrong project. Hold on, I'm a little confused. Why it didn't like that. Maybe it needs a language. Locale. Maybe I haven't set up this new laptop for translations. I guess I could have guessed that. Okay. So let's try that again. So probably that, yeah, created this Django.po file, all this stuff in it. We are losing the annotations, which may or may not be a problem. I'm not sure. The bigger problem is going to be these escaped quotes. And let's see. So let's just see if we can fix that. I think fixing the escaped quotes is a good plan. So how are we going to do that? So we have a test. That's good. So let's code up a little failing test case. Test translation, file generation with quotes. So we're going to say hello is, you say hola. No, it's not really a proper translation, but that's okay. And now we can say like expected PO contents with quotes. And we will declare this thing. This test is already getting kind of unwieldy. Not totally sure what to do about that, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. So hello, we said you say hola. And so we probably want to like have something like that. Goodbye. It's going to be blank. Okay. And let's see. So enter. Yeah. Huh. It escaped it? Really? Maybe it needs to like double escape it? Yeah, double escape it. Okay. And failing test. And so, let's see, so get PO file. I wonder if POlib can do this. Okay, so this is cool. One thing is that we can maybe get some metadata, but I think this is just going to be a safer way to do this. Looks like this is going to be designed to save it to disk. Let's also ask how we can get the text. Cool. So we just call stir on it. Okay, so let's now to-do got into the wrong place. So I want that. I can also say like maybe like, for now we'll just leave it like that, but certainly we want to do something smarter there. Add an entry, so these are so rather than mess with these process translations, I want to do something like this. And for now, we'll just kind of comment this out. We might be able to delete that entire class. And then so we're not going to save it. I guess probably we want to return, why don't we just return it? For now. This will return a PO file, something like that. POlib.PO file. Gonna have to update some references in some different places, but that's okay. And now, basically we just need like a stir, I think. Stir there, stir there. It's gonna fail because of the metadata probably, but yeah. Yep, so let's just print it. So we can say something like metadata equals something like that. I don't know. Getting a little hacky. Assert equal what? Add metadata. You're getting too cute. Probably getting too cute. But I mean, we do want to test this metadata stuff eventually, so might as well get some of it in place. on here. Perhaps you forgot a comma, or perhaps you inserted an X. Looks like it starts with a hash. Kind of off on a tangent here. Well, I guess we can set self.maxdiff. Will that work? Maxdiff equals none. Your team. Huh. We did get the quotes in there. Okay, let's just get rid of. We'll call these tests for a sec. Or yeah, we'll do it this way. Apps.translations dot that dot that. Let's call the one test. Oh, come on. I guess it needs this too. Copy path file name. Okay. So what is going on here? So everything has a new line, like an extra new line. So is that, maybe they need, these also need to be escaped? I hate text. Why would I build a product with translations? Ooh. It's getting closer, I think. It's just something with the last line. Let's see. So we got back that. And the expected is this. So got back that, expected that. I guess we're not stripping it. All right. Okay, I think maybe we remove the strip. Oh, we're so close. We're so close. Ah, thank God. Okay. What a chore. Now let's try the rest of the tests. Let's see. App.translation. Get rid of all that stuff. Yo, all right. What were we doing? We were trying to handle escapes. So let's go back and regenerate our file. And where was that? Translate PO file. One thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to actually translate anything. So we're just going to get the PO file and write it. And this will be a lot faster. So let's try that again. Right, argument must be a string, not a PO file. Fair enough. So now we can actually do the thing that ChatGPT wanted us to do, which is call po.save. See how fast all those database queries go? Boom. All right, now let's look and see how we did. Ooh, look at that. 1,000 green check marks. How about that? So now we are going to copy that file and stick it in here. And we're going to, let's see, just going to rename this like Django original. And then we're going to rename this to Django. Okay, and now in theory, we run compile messages. Message ID and message string entries do not both begin with a new line. Okay. Line 509. Are we in the right file? Or in the original file? 509. Please click the confirmation link below. So let's see what that looks like for the original. Just click. What's wrong with that? Seems fine. $441. Seems to like, well, let's see if this actually worked before rabbit holing into this issue. So refresh. Oh my God! It worked! Oh, that is cool. I just translated my product into an entirely different language. Wow. I'm actually kind of stoked about this. This type of stuff is kind of annoying, like when these things go into multiple lines, but to be honest, this is not too bad. There's also equipo. Uh-oh. So there's going to be some issues, and it's also the case that not every piece of text in this application is marked for translation. So there will still be some work to do, but wow, this is a pretty good start. Go AI. All right, well, I feel like my goal was to get the core functionality of this translation stuff in place, and I feel like I have done that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. This is Corey from Pegasus, translating some apps.